DeVika with the Center of Transformative Sexology. I am looking forward to this. You are good to go. We've got you until 5:30, and then we'll do questions.
So my name is DeVika Lyles, and I am the owner of the Center for Transformative Sexology. And I'm going to do what I can in 15 minutes. I'm going to give you a little taste of what the Center for Transformative Sexology is about. And can you see my screen? So I am just going to give you a full-on mini workshop that I run. And I'm going to tell you what Center for Transformative Sexology is, what we're up to, and why Brittany is just absolutely excited about what I'm up to. So the Center for Transformative Sexology is the possibility of being adventurous, passionate, and connected to our sexual selves through 7 sexual conversations. And I know as soon as I say sexual, you start to hear all kinds of things. You start to
We
hear.
Can see your screen.
Okay, got it. You start to hear parts and places, and that's actually not what I'm talking about. What I'm actually talking about is a deeper, richer conversation that really involves your life. And what we're really up to is having each and every person experience an orgasmic life as they discover, explore, and manifest themselves as a sexual being in experiencing expression in all of their lives and relationships. So anytime that you're talking about your relationships, your creativity, your I am statements, all of those things come from a place of creation. And we can look at and track where that creation comes from. And part of our self-expression is part of that. All right. So what I have really set as my intention for the Center for Transformative Sexology is that all of humanity is masterfully engaged in the creation, exploration, and completion of conversations that leave them and others deliciously fulfilled in sex and sexology and sexuality. And sexology is just the field that I'm in. There are 7 areas that I focus on. And when we focus on these areas, it's going to broaden that what I've been talking about when I say sex and sexuality or sexology is probably not at all what you think about. In fact, it's probably going to really reveal to you that the areas that I'm talking about are more common than people think that they are. And at the end of my 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you how you can get trained and developed in really having conversations in your life that make a difference in these areas. So I'm not going to go into each one of these areas individually right now. That's a different workshop. I'm just going to give you a brief overview. So one of the first things I like to talk about is the system science and sexology, the field that sex is actually a part of. We are actually a science. I know a lot of people don't know that, or if they do, they kind of think it's just parts, and that's not actually true. We are a science. We are a social science. We are a biological science. We are a systemic science, in fact, that we study systems. And we are a science in that there is like chromosomes and hormones and all of these different chemicals that get involved in what we call sexology. So if you're interested in learning more about that part, then your conversations in this camp could be about that. We are also a space where race and culture and decolonization come together. It's really important for people of cultural backgrounds to start to identify with themselves, separate from what happened to them and their identity during colonization. It's really important that we get access to discovering who we were before that happened. And colonization can be somebody's ideas of who you should be taking over what you say you should be. And so we really dive into not only the race and the culture, which might be obvious to people, but also finding out who we are when we're not dealing with what everybody else says we should be. The next area that I take on in these 7 conversations is gender, identity, and sexual orientation. Now, this is a huge topic right now. Like, we're talking about pronouns and identity and am I this or am I that? Who do I love? Who do I not? And these are hot topics. However, a lot of people don't feel comfortable either discussing them or even knowing who they are inside of these conversations. This is an area that a lot of people want support and coaching in, but they don't know where to start. This 7-day spectacular, this 30-day spectacular conversation camp is going to help with that and have you have conversations around gender, identity, and sexual orientation that light you up as you discover yourself and other people. The next area is health and neurology. For those of you who are talking about, I know Sophia was talking about Ayurvedic. We do a lot of that. We do a lot of Reiki and Tantra and a lot of different things because our sexual selves, that sacral chakra, that is the place where a lot of not healthy things can show up. Also, who you are neurologically can impact your experience of your sexual self. So we're looking at those kinds of things as well. The next area that we're going to look at, scroll, hold on just 1 second. Oh, come on, is access and how people have access to things or they don't. Access and equity, education, and economics. In our society, we actually have a system that says only rich people or only certain people are entitled to a certain sexual quality of life. And again, I'm not talking about physical self. I am talking about how you embrace yourself as a person. If you're not rich, if you're not smart, if we don't value you in equity, then the idea that you would embrace yourself as a sexual person is very limited in our society. The next what we're going to talk about is trauma and transformation. A lot of times, trauma and transformation gets the most out of sexual conversations because everybody is excited to find out what's wrong about sex, how bad it is, how harmful it can be. But then they don't also talk about the transformation of that. Where there's great harm, there's also the great possibility for great healing. And so I focus on not only the trauma, but also the transformation that allows people to be whole, complete, and perfect in their sexual selves, no matter what they've experienced, and no matter which one of these trauma or transformation conversations that they're currently in. The next one is self-expression, exploration, and shadow work. This is where your relationships are. This is where your communication is. This is where you're like, you know what? I want to be on Tinder, but I can't find anybody. They're all bad and wrong or uggos or whatever you got going on. This is an area where we get to explore what's going to make that work for you. What's going to make a relationship work for you? What's going to make dating work for you? And if there's something in the background, maybe a limiting viewpoint of yourself or a limiting viewpoint of other people, or maybe you have just some negative conversations about yourself and other, this area is going to give you access to work through that. And so what I have given you just really quickly, and I mean super quickly, is access to the 7 sexual conversations and the areas that are touched by sex and sexology, and giving you access to transform them. Now, what we're going to be doing from September 12th to October 12th, and then again from October 17th to November 17th, is I'm having a 30-day camp where I train and develop you in all of these. If you want to take them on, or you want to take on one and really get deep in it, you get to decide. But you're going to focus on 7 conversations a day. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not. You talk about this stuff more than you realize. It's just that we have taken sex and sexology and we've shoved it into parts and slots, and we've said only certain conditions apply when we have conversations about these areas. I'm committed to giving you an unleashed, unhinged access to all of these areas for your wellness, your passion, your orgasmic expression, and just overwhelming joy in your life. So if you would like to participate in the Spectacular Sexology camp, we're going to start the first one in September. It's going to go from September 12th to October 12th. Then we'll have another one from October 17th to November 17th. You can send a text and get on my mailing list. If you send TC for TS and just your text messages to 22828, you'll get added to our mailing list, and we'll be sending out things probably next Tuesday because we want to honor that it's Labor Day. You can also call 720-588-3227, or the Center for Transformative Sexology is actually a virtual center. I have created a virtual space. So if you're in Stockholm, if you're in Colorado, if you're in Fort Worth, Texas, like I am, it doesn't matter. Between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, Central Daylight Time, you can have access to this transformation and these conversations that are designed to make a difference in your life. So that is as much as I can do, Brittany, in 15 minutes. And does anybody have any questions?
Thank you for that, DeVika. That was a lot. So for me, my very first question would be about something that you have not mentioned, and that would be your lunch and learns.
So funny that you should mention that. I do have a lunch and learn. And what a lunch and learn is I have different topics that we talk about Tuesday through Friday, just an hour. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's amazing. And in that hour on Tuesdays, we talk about sexuality education. On Wednesdays, we talk about shadow work. Thursday, we talk about social justice. And on Friday, we talk about traditional and non-traditional relationships, whether you're non-monogamous, whether you are in the LGBT community. We talk about how to have healthy relationships, no matter what your expression. And I was showing that to someone today, and she says, "You only charge $40 a month for this?" She's like, you know, you could charge $300 a month for this. I said, yeah. I said, I got it. I got that, because there's like 16 different topics minimally all month. You get to drop in whenever it works for you. And she said, I can't believe it's only $40. I said, my commitment is that I'm taken care of, and so are other people taken care of. And I get that one of the things that is in the way of people being taken care of in my area is exactly what I said before. It's the lack of access. So as much as I could charge more, as much as I probably should charge more, as much as those lunch and learns are jam-packed with transformation, education, and like making a real difference, I'm just asking $40 a month. And I even give away the first session for free. That's in addition to the Spectacular Sexology conversation training I'm having in September and October. So maybe I don't offer the lunch and learns, Brittany, because people don't believe that it's true. They're like, there's no way this is only $40. They're like looking for like, what's the catch? And so maybe that's why I subconsciously don't mention it. The other thing I don't mention is that I'm looking to work with other educators and other sexologists in this field so that you can also come do some lunch and learns and also spread your knowledge and information. So Sophia or Lydia, if you ever want to come and do a lunch and learn, it's a great way to create partnership and exposure. But again, yeah, the lunch and learn people, I have to spend more time convincing them that it's only $40 a month. So that's probably why I don't share it as often as I should. So thanks, Brittany. Anything else for anybody else? That was a lot. I spend like an hour usually in that conversation. So I feel like I was speed racing. Sophia, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. It's funny, and this is how
my
oh, can you hear me now? So when you just said that you're looking for educators that are doing this work, this is how holistic concierge works. When I have conversation with people, I get these name pops in my mind, and it is basically like, okay, this person would be a good fit. So yeah, I do have someone that I will be sending your way. Yeah, she is very much in the same field that you're working with, and I think she would be very interested.
Thank you. Yes. Well, yeah,
And
it's
you
a
would,
fun field. It's a fun
yes,
field, but people are like, wait, no. It's a dancing field. It's like, yes, no. Kind of, sort of.
I personally, as a massage therapist, I get questioned many times. I have this kind of energy that comes through asking me questions about, tantra massage, and I go, no way on my website that I've mentioned. So it kept happening, and I actually took it upon myself to actually go for level 1 tantra to understand what people are kind of learning, and to kind of see that and not just judging the people that are asking me the question, oh, do you do tantra massage? So I wanted to, so I went diving into that aspect of it, and it kind of got me closer to understanding the people and why they ask these questions. So I love that you kind of shared with us the 7 kind of questions that we all should be talking about this, and we didn't have that accessibility when we, at my age at least, my parents did not talk to me about sex. They said, oh, you can watch Bold and Beautiful. I watched Bold and Beautiful when I was a kid, and they had everything under the sunlight there. But that was my exposure to sex and talking about the body, but not with my own family. And I had to learn it through my growing up and learning from friends. And yeah, I think it's a great space that one can actually have open space conversations. I think having conscious conversations is very, very important nowadays, and about body and about sex and everything that comes with the judgment, assumption, with the topic. I think, yes, there's more
There,
conversations needed and to be held.
there's lots of healing to be done, and lots of things get in the way of, awesome, Linda, thank you. Lots of things get in the way of us having the most orgasmic life. I say orgasmic, and people are like, oh, she's no, I want you to have an orgasmic life while you wash the dishes. I want you to eat food and it like make you blissfully happy. We don't talk about our life like that. And it brings me so much joy that in the Spectacular Sexology program, that's what I will be training in people to do, is how do you have these conversations? Because they're everywhere. We just turn the blind eye because it's like, oh, well, that's not sex. Well, what is it? You explain to me how it's not, because I can explain to you exactly how it is. You give me 5 minutes and I can tell you how it is. Absolutely related to one of the 7 conversations, and how when you can really have freedom in that, you can have access to a joyful and blissful and orgasmic life. So thank you, both of you. Yeah. Brittany, anything else? I want to
No,
make sure I'm managing my time.
no, you still have 4 minutes on your questions. I'm paying attention.
Oh,
I got this.
awesome.
Does anybody
Awesome.
else have any questions? All right. So my question,
Uh-oh.
we have the I am statement from Linda.
Mm-hmm.
We have the mantra, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? And I mean, personally, I want you to do the water game, but we don't have time for that. What is it that you would, what is the one thing that you can add to those 2 statements that everybody can walk away with?
Mm. So we've got the I am statements, and we've got the mantra. Whatever you say about sex and whatever you say about your sex and your sex life is the truth for you. And you get to be really responsible for that. I know that sounds like a passing conversation, and it's not. You are responsible. Just like Linda said, I am this. So you say, I am single, I am not dateable, I am not lovable, and it becomes your mantra, whether you have access to life or not, and an orgasmic life or not. The second thing I would offer is if you're not having orgasms, you need to look in one of these areas. When was the last time you cried? When was the last time you made a mess? When was the last time you laughed so hard you thought you would pee on yourself? Like you really just allowed yourself to laugh? When was the last time you got so angry, like really, really angry, that you swore? That's important. All right. And when was the last time you just had so much fun? So crying, because all of those things, Sophia is nodding because what I'm really talking about is clearing those chakras. That's what I'm really talking about. And if you're blocked in any of those places, you can't have an orgasm, because an orgasm is the alignment of chakras everywhere, all the time. So when you're not aligned, nobody has to be touching you. Nobody. But if you're not aligned, you can have somebody touching you and you won't orgasm. If you're aligned, nobody has to be touching you and you will have an orgasmic life. So those are the two things. What you say about it and what you are expressing is your access to an orgasmic life. The end.